Welcome to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success. I'm also excited to share my book, Straight from the Admissions Office, a review of my biggest takeaways from the first few hundred podcast episodes. It's packed with direct insights from admissions professionals and practical tips to help students and their families navigate the college admissions process. You can find all of the information in the show notes. Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Savannah Bowman, who's the Assistant Director of Admissions at Muhlenberg College. Now, we had Muhlenberg on the podcast back on episode 18, which was released in March of 2022. Savannah, I am so grateful that you're here. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It is our honor and pleasure, and we're equally as excited. So, Muhlenberg, Savannah, is known, of course, for its commitment to the liberal arts and fostering a tight-knit, inclusive campus community. How does that mission come to life for students, both in their academic experience and the broader campus culture?
Absolutely. One of the most common ways and most popular ways is that Muhlenberg is a place where students are able to come and really do it all. Our students are not the type of students you will find just coming to college to do one thing or to stay in their lane with their major. They are going to be a business major, but also maybe participate in theater or be on a sports team. And so we are a place where they can truly pursue all of their passions without giving things up. They can double major, they can research, they can study abroad, and they don't have to sacrifice anything. And I think that's what really allows that community to build, because you're going to have students from what might be very different areas of campus on a larger campus, integrating and learning and interacting with each other.
Well, that's great. I love how you put it. Muhlenberg is a place where students are able to come and really do it all. You gave examples of, for example, a business major wanting to also be part of that amazing theater program. So are you saying that interdisciplinary studies is something near and dear to your mission and philosophy at Muhlenberg?
Oh, 100%. Our students are encouraged from day one to be interdisciplinary. We revamped our curriculum about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago now. That is just encouraging that further interdisciplinary connection between academics, but also within the greater community of Allentown and the world, requiring an experiential learning element through an internship, research, study abroad, is allowing those students to make the connections both on campus, but also outside of campus.
Fantastic. And I can't wait to hear more about it. But something that people are really interested in, of course, is that application review. So, Savannah, in a holistic admissions process, what makes an applicant truly stand out as a great fit for Muhlenberg? And are there any particular qualities, experiences, or perspectives your team values that align with your campus values and community?
I think for us, we're looking obviously for students that are going to fit Muhlenberg and just the community in general, but our community is so diverse that there's not a cookie cutter student that is going to be the right one for Muhlenberg. Our students come from different walks of life, they come from different academic interests, they come from sports, they come from arts, they come from a whole lot of different things. And so when we're looking at our students throughout the admissions process, I'm looking for, are we setting them up for academic success? But B, are they going to add to our community in whatever way that looks? Have they been involved in their local community? Have they been involved in their high school community? Have they just specifically had to take care of siblings or be more involved in their home? And so whatever that looks like for each individual student, we just want to see what life has been and what they do with those few free hours of their day, as very busy high schoolers are these days.
Absolutely. And I love how you put it that there's no cookie cutter students. So students Don't try to replicate what you think the admissions office is looking for. Be true to who you are, whether you're an athlete, a theater person, what have you, and just, apply to whatever schools you want, find those balance lists, but again, be true to who you are. If you're admitted, then that's the right fit for you. And if not, be mindful of the schools that do admit you and find your home. So I appreciate that. And digging deeper in terms of the
Mhm.
overall application review, Savannah, Muhlenberg, of course, is test optional, which is helpful for many students navigating this process. What guidance do you offer students who are unsure whether to submit their scores, and how does your team evaluate applications without them?
Absolutely. So the general baseline is if a student is proud of their test scores, we will encourage them to submit them. We did adopt a no harm policy within this past year. So if a student submits their scores and in our application review process, it would actually end up hurting them, we will happily just ignore them and move on with our review as if we did not see the scores. And if the scores help, then we will continue the review with the understanding that the scores are there. About 30% of our students did submit scores last year. And so it is obviously a very large percent of our applicant population that is choosing to not submit test scores. And so it's not harming those students. They are still automatically considered for merit aid. We're still looking at them through our holistic review process. Those test scores are just an additional opportunity for us to gain more information, but we are firm believers that a Saturday they spent at a random high school for 5 hours does not accurately depict their ability to be successful. And so we're looking at the greater student in our application review.
Well, we appreciate that. And I like the fact that you talked about your no harm policies, which means if students submit a score that will actually hurt their chances, you actually ignore it, again, leading to that no harm policy. And I also appreciate you sharing that 30% of the students submitted test scores, indicating that, in fact, you are test optional.
Mhm.
So, another part of the overall application, of course, is the transcript. Savannah, when you review a student's transcript, what are the key elements your team looks for beyond GPA? And how do you evaluate academic rigor, grade trends, and course selection over 4 years of high school?
Absolutely. So, rigor and course selection are important to us because we are wanting to make sure that students are going to be prepared for Muhlenberg's academic rigor. We are not going to admit you with the intention of setting you up for failure. If we admit you, it is our intention that you are going to be successful here. And so, when we look at rigor, we're looking at it on a high school by high school basis, fully recognizing that not every high school is going to have the same rigor offerings for our students. And so, depending on what that individual high school offers, we will look and see what did you take out of the offerings. Sometimes students will say, "Oh, I wasn't able to take this because of X, Y, and Z," and those tidbits in their application are always appreciated. We are not judging students against other schools. We're not judging them against their classmates. We're looking at within what your high school offered, how did you take advantage of that, and then going from there. But we do want our students to, if they can, take advantage of the rigor.
Well, we appreciate that, especially how you're talking about the fact that you're evaluating students based on the context of their high school, but also the fact that your admissions counselors, you want to admit everybody, but your first order of business is to ensure that they are prepared to handle the rigors of Muhlenberg. So, digging deeper, does Muhlenberg recalculate GPA, Savannah, for review purposes? And how do you account for the differences in grading scales, curriculum offerings, and course rigor access that students have throughout those various high schools?
Absolutely. So if a high school provides us with an unweighted GPA on the transcript, we will use that. If they don't, then we will recalculate to a core, so academic course unweighted GPA. And that is really just to try to find that standardization. I have read transcripts from schools with a 12-point scale, with a 3-point scale, with a 6-point scale. So with no skills. And so it is trying to find the happy medium between all of that. So we take rigor out of the equation for the GPA calculation. We add the rigor in a different part of our application review. So students who are taking rigor are still given quote unquote points for that, but they are not, the GPA is taken without rigor.
Understood. And a lot of people email me about asking questions about this thing called institutional priorities. So, Savannah, every college, for example, has institutional priorities when shaping their incoming class. What are some of Muhlenberg's current enrollment priorities, whether it's for growing certain academic programs or attracting students from specific regions? What can you share about your institutional priorities?
Absolutely. So, what I love about Muhlenberg is we don't admit into academic programs. So, that is not necessarily something that is on a priority. But our focus the past few years and continuing this year has definitely been to bring in the most diverse class we can. And when we talk about diversity, that is not only race, it is also socioeconomic status, it is geographic diversity, it is where we're bringing those students from, but also what their experiences in high school have been. We want to bring in a class of students that are going to learn and mesh, but also get out of their comfort zones a little bit when interacting with other people.
I appreciate that. And we know that Muhlenberg is a private school, but are there any institutional priorities in terms of how many students you admit from in your state or outside of it?
No, when it comes to that, it is just getting the students we can that are going to be the right fit for us and that we are the right fit for them.
Fantastic. And academic advising and mentorship plays a critical role in every student's success. Savannah, what does advising look like at Muhlenberg, and how do students receive guidance in selecting, for example, majors, exploring careers, or even preparing for graduation itself?
Absolutely. So at Muhlenberg, we have adopted a coaching model, which I love. Each student coming in gets a three-person coaching team. They get an academic coach, a career coach, and a life coach. And that academic coach is going to be that first person you likely meet as a deposited student when you come to campus for our June summer connections, because that is when you are going to have your first academic advising. Right after you graduate high school, we're going to bring you to campus and we have that meeting with you. And about a third of our students each year come in undecided. So, whether you have an idea of what you want or you have no worldly idea of what you think you want to study, we're going to have people there prepared to walk through that process with you and have those conversations. And then when you come to campus, within that first semester, you're going to meet with your career coach, and your career coach is going to meet with you and have conversations such as, what are you interested in? What are some things you want to explore? If you have an idea of what you want to do post graduation, awesome, we'll talk about that. But if you don't, again, totally fine. And they are going to be there for you as much or as little as you want them to be throughout your 4 years at Muhlenberg to have those conversations, to help with internships, get you prepped for interviews, to look at your resume and really see what is next for me. Your academic advisor or academic coach will change as you declare a major. If you have multiple majors, you will have an academic coach from both majors. So really just creating a team that you know, when I need something, I know exactly who I need to go to. And our life coaches, they are people like me, faculty and staff members across campus who are there to just be an extra support, whether that is a hug on a day where you just need a mom hug and your family is a little far away, to somebody to go talk to if you are really struggling and suddenly you woke up one morning, you're like, I actually hate what I'm studying. What do I do? And starting those conversations. Or say you have no clue where a resource is on campus, they are a great starting point to help you connect to whatever you might need. So, really, through that coaching team and that coaching model, our students have a well rounded support system that is getting them as much as they need or as little as they need, depending on what the student asks for.
Well, that's terrific. It definitely seems like you have support systems in place for all of your students. And a lot of people have also been emailing me about students that are considering transferring.
Mhm.
So, Savannah, if a student is in fact considering transferring to Muhlenberg, what can they expect from the process, and what kind of support or credit evaluation tools are in place to help make the transition as smooth as possible for them?
Absolutely. So we do offer fall and spring admission for transfer students, and unlike our first year admissions, we do admit our transfer students on a rolling basis. So the sooner they get their application in and complete, the sooner they will hear from us. Ideally, our goal is to get both the scholarship and financial aid offer out with that application. So again, if they can submit their FAFSA, if they are wanting us to look at financial aid when they submit their application, that allows us to get the full financial picture as well as admissions decision out when we get that decision out. And then once we do get them their admissions decision, we will at that point conduct a full credit evaluation so they can understand how what they took at their previous institution would transfer into Muhlenberg, what that would look like in relation to our core curriculum and anything else, and what that timeline might look like when they get here. And they can have all of that information prior to making the commitment to come here so they can really make the best decision for them. Our transfer students will also be getting a part of our coaching program, so they're not getting left out of that part of the support system at Muhlenberg. They're getting it as much as our first year incoming students are. They are also getting an orientation time to connect. And so while they might be coming in at different points of the year or not traditionally with our fall starting freshman class, they are still included in the community and have ways to find their groups on campus.
Well, thank you so much for the comprehensive answer in terms of transfers. And of course, affordability is top of mind for so many students and their families. Savannah, how does Muhlenberg approach financial aid, including merit scholarships, need based aid, and efforts to reduce out of pocket costs?
Absolutely. We understand that cost is a driving factor in a lot of families' college decisions. And so we try to be very transparent with our aid. We do have an early scholarship and aid review process that happens this summer before they apply. That will be coming out here in the next month or so. We also ideally, as long as a student has gotten us all of their needed financial information, if they are applying for financial aid, their FAFSA. If they are not, then just applying to Muhlenberg, we will get a scholarship and financial aid package out to them with their admissions decision. So at the time of that decision, you will know what that offer is, what you're looking at, and you can start having those conversations with your family. About last year, our average financial aid package and scholarship package covered about 60% of our cost. And so some families paying a little bit more, some families paying significantly less. It really just depends on your situation. We also have talent grants. So that's an additional $2,000 for any student who has an artistic talent or interest that they want to audition or put through in a portfolio review. We offered this past year an additional $2,000 grant just for submitting the FAFSA. We recognized that after the craziness with the FAFSA a few years ago, we wanted to just encourage doing it, even if families felt like they might not qualify anything. Well, we gave you $2,000 and we anticipate that that's going to continue. We also had an early decision grant this past year. So $2,000 if you are an early decision applicant. Again, that early decision binding, it is our guarantee to you that because we're taking away the ability to negotiate or appeal your scholarship decision as an early decision student, we want to give you a little bit more of a financial boost. So an additional $2,000 there. I do anticipate those continuing. We also have honors grants. If you are selected for one of our 4 honors programs, this past year it was $5,000 if you were selected. That is one that is still TBD on whether it's continuing, but if it is not, our overall scholarship level we anticipate to increase.
Well, we appreciate you sharing all of those different types of grants, and you touched upon students that apply early decision, which of
Mhm.
course is binding. So I know you mentioned the $2,000, but there's a myth out there that if I apply early decision, I'm definitely not going to get any aid whatsoever. So what do you have to say to a parent that asks that question?
An early decision student at Muhlenberg is considered just like any other student for our scholarships and financial aid. We recognize that you are A, should be rewarded for your high school merit and capabilities, and B, we are going to give you what we think financial aid wise would help make Muhlenberg accessible for you. So we are not just excluding any families from the process just because they apply early decision. Every student is considered.
Well, we appreciate that. Basically, students, if you're saying that this is the school for me, I'm applying early decision, Muhlenberg and many other colleges and universities, they're not going to penalize you because you're showing them that, in fact, that's the school for you. So we appreciate that, Savannah. And many people talk about wanting to get a better idea before even applying in
Mhm.
terms of how much they would actually be paying. So, would you recommend using, for example, your net price calculator, fill it out the best students and families can to their ability? And then in terms of accuracy, what do you have to say about your net price calculator?
I would actually discourage the use of our net price calculator
Really?
and encourage our families to reach out and go through our early scholarship and aid review process. That is available for anyone, and everyone in that is going to be the more accurate than the price calculator just because of the ways we do our GPA recalculations, the likelihood that a student or family is going to do it in a way that we would. It's going to throw off on the net price calculator what the actual range for scholarships likely will be. Whereas our early scholarship and aid review process, we internally recalculate that GPA. And so it gives you a more accurate understanding.
Well, I'm so glad that I asked the question. And when you internally review the GPA or recalculate the GPA, are you looking only at core courses or everything?
Only core courses, and typically, if a student has taken a rigorous course that may not be considered one of their core courses, like AP Computer Science or something else like that, we will also consider it.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And of course, I always put the Office of Undergraduate Admissions in the show notes. Savannah, you've covered so much. So if there's anything that you want to include in the show notes, please send them to me. And of course, we'll make it available to the students and their families. Now, another email that I've been getting a lot about is could you ask about AI and whether or not the admissions offices use it in the overall review process? So, with AI tools, Savannah, increasingly present in students' writing and academic work, how is your admissions team approaching essays and other components to ensure authenticity and fair evaluations?
We are not currently running them through an AI detector, but most of the time you can tell when a student has used AI or the essay might not be written in their authentic voice. And so in those cases, we might reach out to the student, we might flag it, we might say, hey, we would love to see something that's written from you instead of
Right.
ChatGPT or other AI.
Right. Well, we appreciate that. And is there a question? This has been a phenomenal conversation, Savannah, but I need to ask, is there a question that I simply didn't ask or a topic that I didn't bring up that you'd like to share with us now?
Not anything specific. I just always love to mention that we, especially in this part of the country, get a lot of recognition for our theater program, but Muhlenberg is also a great place for students wanting to go into STEM. And I feel like when students think about the liberal arts, they don't necessarily always make that connection. But we have fantastic med school, dental school, and law school admit rates. And so maybe you'll find us on one of your lists when you're looking into schools with great med school or psychology programs, but we are as great as we are in the arts, we are also fantastic getting students to that next step, whatever that may look like.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And it points back to what we spoke about earlier in terms of your philosophy and mission around those interdisciplinary opportunities. So, Savannah, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I really can't thank you enough. Unfortunately, it does lead us to that last question, which is what are your top three pieces of advice that you would provide students getting ready for the college admissions process and their families?
Absolutely. My first one is to be open. Students are, you're picking a place that is where you are going to live for 4 years, but also learn for 4 years. So find the school that's best for you. It might not be the popular place where everyone else at your high school is going, but it might be the place that is the right fit for you and what those next steps are that you want. Look at the programs the school has, the supports, clubs, how the residence halls are, and really how they align with what's important to you for those next 4 years of your academic exploration. I also really love to emphasize that don't be afraid to reach out to your admissions counselor. We are here. We want to have conversations with you. We want to get to know you, whether that's through email, calling our office lines, whatever that looks like, coming up and talking to us when we're at your high schools. We want to make those connections with you. And so, any way that you can reach out to us and we can build that relationship, we love it. We are also just here to support you. We want to make the application process easier. Our goal is not to make it more difficult. And then finally, my biggest hill to die on is I will always, always, always push a campus visit before you make a final decision. I feel like more and more I'm coming into contact with students on the road who have never visited the campus that they think they're going to deposit at. And that just makes my heart stop a little bit because you truly never know the feel of a campus or a community. Your dream school on paper could not feel like home when you actually go visit it. And one that maybe kind of middle of the road for you suddenly gives you that sense of home when you go step foot on their campus. And so, whether that looks like an informal visit, a formal visit, whatever that looks like for you, make sure you visit your future campus before you make that final decision.
Well, those are tremendous pieces of advice, and I couldn't agree with you more. Number one, students, be open, find the right fit for you. It doesn't matter where your friends are applying, find that perfect fit for yourself, and it's different for every single student. And we're lucky in the United States because there are over 4,000 colleges and universities in our country alone. Secondly, reach out to the admissions counselors. So many times students and their families are afraid to do so. But if it weren't for how open you are as a cohort of admissions people, this podcast wouldn't be possible. And lastly, you talked about the importance of visiting. It's so difficult. In fact, I would say impossible to replicate 100% the feeling that you get not only when you're on the campus, but even in the outer area outside of the campus. And so if you can't visit students before applying, you really owe it to yourself before matriculating. So again, Savannah, this has been an awesome conversation, tremendous pieces of advice. I can't thank you enough. Obviously, Muhlenberg is happy to have you, as were we on this podcast episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all ours. And to everyone out there, take care and good luck with the college search. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the CAP. Thank you for listening to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success.